Your business is adopting artificial intelligence, and let's be honest, the upside is just undeniable. But as we're heading towards 2026, there's a huge wave of new regulations coming across the US, the UK, and the EU, and it's creating a major new financial risk that every single business leader needs to get their head around right now.
So here's what we're going to cover in this briefing. First, we'll look at AI's incredible rise and the shadow of risk that comes with it. Then, we're going to dive into the global regulatory onslaught, what's coming and what it means for you. We'll quantify the catastrophic fines you could be exposed to. And then most importantly, we'll map out a clear path to compliance and show you exactly how to take your first step for free.
You know, AI is completely revolutionizing how we do business, from automating the boring stuff to unlocking brand new ways to make money. But the innovation is moving so fast, it's completely outpaced the rules, creating this brand new landscape of liability that absolutely has to be on your radar.
So let's make this personal for a second. Just think, where is AI already running inside your own company? Because I'm willing to bet it's in more places than you think.
I mean, think about it. Is your HR team using AI to screen resumes? Is marketing using chatbots or personalizing email campaigns? What about finance with automated invoicing or fraud detection? See, the reality is, AI isn't some far-off concept anymore. It is a core part of how business gets done today.
And this right here captures a fear that a lot of leaders have but maybe don't say out loud. It's that feeling of being responsible for a technology that's kind of a black box. You know it works, but you don't know how it works, and that has some pretty serious regulatory implications.
Which leads directly to this anxiety. It's the growing realization that when, not if, regulators come knocking, you might not have the answers. You might not have the right documentation or the audit trails you need to actually defend your use of these incredibly powerful systems.
Okay, so now let's look at that global legal landscape. We're not just talking about one or two new laws here. What we're seeing is a coordinated, international push for much stricter AI enforcement. And this is something every business with international operations needs to be watching very, very closely.
Just take a look at these numbers. In the EU, we're talking about fines of up to 35 million euros, or 7% of your global turnover. And here's the kicker, whichever is higher. The UK is right there with them. And then in the US, you've got federal penalties, plus this confusing patchwork of different state laws that just adds another layer of complexity. These are not just slaps on the wrist. So let's make this risk really concrete. These are not theoretical numbers I'm throwing around. These are the specific and frankly staggering penalties that businesses are going to be facing for non-compliance. The potential for a truly catastrophic financial outcome is very, very real.
Let's start over in the EU. For the most serious prohibited uses of AI, the EU AI Act lays out a fine that can go all the way up to 35 million euros. And believe it or not, that's not even the ceiling. Because as an alternative, both the EU and the UK can fine you a percentage of your total, worldwide annual turnover, up to 7%. Now, for any large company, you can do the math. That number could easily run into the hundreds of millions, dwarfing that fixed penalty.
Now let's hop back to the United States. Under the recent executive order and some other industry-specific rules, a single violation involving what's called high-risk AI, so think hiring, lending, healthcare, that can hit you with a federal fine of up to $25 million for one violation.
And it gets even more complicated when you drill down to the state level. In a state like Texas, for instance, the Attorney General can hit you with a civil penalty of up to $200,000 per violation you can't fix. And if it's an ongoing issue, well, that's another 40 grand per day. You can see how quickly this can just snowball out of control.
So looking at these numbers, just freezing up isn't really an option, is it? The key here is to move from just being aware of the risk to having a proactive compliance strategy. And that means you need a clear, you need a documented, and you need a defensible roadmap.
So how do you build that roadmap without hiring a dozen consultants? Well, one approach is to use a dedicated compliance tool. Something like AI Fine Protector, for example, is a no-nonsense tool built specifically to identify your unique regulatory exposure and give you that step-by-step compliance roadmap to fix it. So let's break down how a framework like this actually works. It all starts with a diagnosis. It identifies your specific risks across every department. From there, it generates a custom roadmap with concrete, actionable steps. Then, critically, it helps you reduce those fines by showing you what to fix. And finally, and this might be the most important part, it creates a comprehensive audit trail. That is your proof, your evidence of due diligence when the regulators come asking those tough questions. You know, when you're looking at any compliance solution, the name of the game is clarity and speed. You need a simple, direct process like a Q&A format, not some vague, drawn-out process that ends with a hard sell and hidden costs. The goal here should be to get immediate insight that actually empowers your team, not just to book yet another call with a sales rep.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. Let's talk about the single most important action you can take today to get a handle on all of this and start taking real control of your company's AI risk.
Because at the end of the day, this is the question you're going to have to answer. When an issue comes up, your board, your shareholders, your partners, they are all going to want to know, what did you do to prevent this? And having proactive, documented steps is the only answer they're going to accept.
And this is where that proactive stance begins. The Universal Risk Audit is a complementary tool, and it's designed to give you that high-level overview of your business's specific risk exposure across the US, the UK, and the EU. It's your first essential data point.
And the key here is that this first step is completely 100% free. There's no cost, no commitment, no barrier to getting this foundational understanding of where you stand. Look, in this new regulatory era, ignorance is simply not a defense. Understanding your risk is the first and most critical step you can take. This free audit gives you that crucial insight. Don't wait for regulators to show up and ask the hard questions. Take control of your AI risk today. So visit www.aifineprotector.com for a free audit for your business.